Is it on?
Is it on?
Is it on?
Yeah.
Look, there has been a very rich church experience and a religious experience that perhaps you are known for much more than me, but of course we shared quite a very big chunk of that. You, by virtue of taking the stage and preaching, by virtue of receiving numerous prophecies.
Yeah.
I'll fix it as well.
Yeah.
Our props are just giving up. You
put it on the side.
let me put it here. You didn't know that was but so by virtue of receiving a lot of spiritual attention and because of the spiritual investment that you've made, and of course in some programs we were together, but we know definitely that your depth with regards to the investment that you've made has enabled you to really stand in the forefront, and also the talents that you have, they work together. So I want you to tell me now, because I'm sure you've said this over and over again and people know that you can preach and all of that. How are you rationalizing and how are you looking and viewing your contribution around the church, and what are these key things that for this moment you want to say about the spiritual?
Okay, that's quite a deep question. Firstly, the contribution that I had a privilege of making in the church, and the time still have at this point, I am forever grateful for, because firstly, I had not imagined that part of my life before, because remember, the call came a long way, because it's really a calling, and you respond to the call, and when responding to the call, you can gauge and sense when it's yours, because it comes with ease. There's a sense of ease in how you assimilate the information, how you regurgitate the information, how you get to expand the information, because of it starts fitting in perfectly in certain aspects of your life, and also how it actually just begins to give you clarity concerning life, and also gives you a sense of purpose. So that part has always been great, and it's still great, as I'm saying. I do, however, think, because I'm looking in retrospect now, I actually once read a quote by Billy Graham. Someone asked him, if he had to do it again, what would he do differently? He said he would have spoken less, read more. And to me, that spoke to the fact that, sometimes it's the passion and the excitement that leads us. And sometimes when we allow the passion and the excitement to lead us, there are certain key aspects of life that we overlook, or sometimes we actually we even ignore. And those key aspects of life will forever come back, in terms of you will see that you missed something at a particular point in time. So on my side, I believe I was young when I got born again. I was 13, still a child. I needed the guidance of my parents in terms of what I involved myself in and what I shouldn't have involved myself in at that particular time. The Bible says there's time for everything. I needed to know that there was a proper time for me to have a certain level of commitment in church activities. I mean, after we got born again, we went haywire concerning, we preached to everyone and everything, which is a noble act, but we got to ignore our academics over time. Whilst if we had focused on our academics properly at that time, then we would have concluded on that part of our lives. Then we would have actually moved on or transitioned easily into, now you actually are empowering yourself in the matters of spirituality, theology. One of the things my wife knows, one of the things I told her is, my pursuit is, when I'm done with all my academic pursuits at this point, is to go into theology, because I feel we have been reckless. We have seen so many things in the name of church, because we don't really have the proper grounding, firstly as the community, with regards to the laws and rules and that which God has ordained to be done in the religious space under the banner of Christianity. And by virtue of us lacking that understanding, we easily are gullible. We take everything to be God's way of doing things, and we then get burnt. So for me, mine is to go and get the proper guidance. There's nothing wrong with proper guidance. I did tax at school. I always make this reference. Did tax at school. I cannot wake up and feel like today SARS should actually give me a deduction. I need to have a reference in the act that is written, and it must be applicable currently. That means I need to keep abreast and be accurate in terms of whatever that informs my action with regards to that. Imagine how much more when it comes to people's lives. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, no, it's a lesson learned, I suppose. For me, if I were to answer the same question, it had been useful to be grounded spiritually from a young age. I would not say I was grounded, but that that experience really sort of helped so as to make certain moral decisions, ethical decisions. Do I steal? Don't I steal? Do I, say I did it? Do I lie? Don't I lie? And all those things. So very useful in that sense. But really, I feel at some stage we were vulnerable, and people took advantage of available free resource, human resource that they did not have accountability for. They did not put systems. If there's a group of young people in any organized structure, and the set man or the person who's leading that does not make sure that these young people have a proper channel to get through their academic life and actually get through university, to actually go and get proper guidance and all of that. Even it's tantamount to even expectation of this youthful talent, the energy, and it is used to build, these spiritual institutions that sometimes are not accountable to anyone, but this one person. Which even themselves probably they think they are doing the right thing. But now in retrospect, as people who have been through that, what I would always say is that if there's a group of young people gathered in any institution, spiritual or otherwise, there must be programs to enable these young people to do well in school, to be supported, to get through to university, through career guidance. Financial application fee is very cheap. At least to get even university to come and speak to these people and all of that. If that doesn't happen, I'm suspicious of the activities of whatever that institution is. So I've become gullible. I've become even suspicious. I suppose with a lot of activities that are happening in relation to young people's energies, talents, and their availability to do labor for free.
And so I wanted to add to, because of it's just to also validate how scriptural what you're saying is, because the Bible in Luke 2 talks about Jesus grew in wisdom and in stature, and he grew in favor with God and with man. So he had 4 dimensions of growth. It was not just spiritual. It was so in wisdom mentally, in stature physically, in favor with God spiritually, and in favor with man socially. So those things are very key for us to actually address and ensure that we actually are doing things accordingly, because of, again, that takes away the whole thing. At some stage, the church viewed education or being educated as evil. And I mean, that was also a certain form of ignorance that was actually infiltrated in the church, because of, again, there was no grounding. So but we are, and because I do want to highlight the aspect of positive contribution that we got. I actually keep looking back at our times in Victor Ministries in PE. We learned vision, we learned commitment, we learned prayer, we learned commitment to the dreams. Writing down your dreams, leadership. We learned a whole lot of things. We learned there, but also the fact that we would say we are taking positives does not mean we shouldn't actually reflect on what were the things that were changed.
Well. Yes, and also no kind of leader should be in a position to say that I've been all good to all men.
Just like all men shouldn't be saying I've been perfect.
Yes. So I agree with you, we accept the good, and we probably now are in a position to be able to articulate on both the good and the bad, and people should not feel that we are fighting against anyone.
Naturally.
But as we move further, because now time is of
the
essence.
Cool,
there are personal achievements that I want us to talk about, but before we get there, man, talk to us about family. Talk to us about how do you keep everything intact? How easy, how difficult is it?
Thanks for that. One of the things I'd say, and you hear me talk about this now and again, the book I read by Stephen R. Covey that talks about primary greatness, talks about the importance of principle, importance of understanding that there's what we call true north in our globe. And I mean, you would understand these things better because you've actually been in the space, but the fact that there is true north, it actually gives us a sense of the direction and how the world operates and all of that. He talks about the importance of living your life principle oriented. And when we live our lives principle oriented, it does not mean it's always nice, and it does not mean we always enjoy, but sometimes you are trusting the reliability of the undergirding principle you are relying on for this thing to work. So as to make it easy, so that doesn't sound too complicated. I don't know how to raise a successful family, but I have learned principles along the way that have guaranteed a certain level of success if you commit to them. And until now, I have applied principles, and you would know. One, marriage is something that we have received as an institution, that we abide by the laws that we are given by God. Committing to one person is not something that we feel good about. That we need to understand. It's not
something about fish in the sea and all of that.
You know, exactly, being many, and and the fact that we could actually. Now, you having to make the decision to stay with one person because it is a godly thing to do and guarantees a successful monogamy in terms of marriage. That is one thing that has made me to stay and to wade the storms, because every relationship, by the way, let's make this easy, let's make this clear. Every relationship has its ups and downs, and it's just that you get people that sound like haters that would say, these married people always look like they are happy, and even people with their mothers are not happy, but they post good pictures on social media.
Actually, people are not happy with their friends, with their children, with their family that were born in and everything.
Exactly.
So there are these dynamics within any family setup because we are human.
Yeah.
But I want to sort of in contrast, because people know that we are friends and we've been friends for this long, 25 years now. He reads Stephen R. Covey, which I've read.
Seven Habits of Highly Effective People.
Yes, and similar texts like John C. Maxwell and Miles Monroe earlier in our development. But my reading went the other way. One of my favorite writers and authors right now is Malcolm Gladwell, and I've read almost most of his texts. I'm now currently reading The Death of the Past by J.H. Plum. And that's how different our views are, and this one talks about how to differentiate between the past and history, and the fact that history is a product of a scientific connections that were made of the past, and then the past is everything that has happened past this moment. So it's more philosophical and history based, and I received it from a friend who knew that I appreciate this. And you go and still read. You also read Obama. You also read.
I'm actually now reading Martin Luther's biography.
So biographies, you do biographies, which I've not done a lot of biographies. But certain few, I think I'm more philosophical leadership kind of a reader. But even going to reading of his course, I've studied Italian again to understand that legal exposition is course and all of that. So how is your reading connected to your careers, and how is Mandilakhe as you are developing important for your family, maybe to conclude on this one?
Okay, so my reading actually, I think it always gives me, it brings me down to earth. It's what always actually grounds me in the midst of all these things that I've mentioned. So it gives me a sense of, for example, when I'm reading the biographies, I always appreciate the fact that it gives me that idea that I'm not the first of all, to face particular situations in life. And you get a sense of certain solutions that you can always, glean from these guys, because they would have had a similar experience, but it's just that it was back in the day. Technology and setups and all of that might not be the same, but principle, again, goes back to principle. Principle is the same. So it gives you the ability to not always accept defeat at times when it actually is presented to you as the only option. So you can actually say, well, it might look like defeat is the only option I have right now, but I've seen people before where a similar situation, they were able to apply other things in order for them to get out of that particular situation. Number two, it also gives me reference, as we say, because of, as we say, we didn't have experience of people raising successful families in front of us, but I can read the stories of these guys. First of all, I mean, naming your key. One of the things that's actually very powerful about this Martin Luther's book. So Martin Luther, the Lutheran, the one that the Lutherans actually take after, was named Martin by his parents because there was a saint that was a Martin at the time, and that guy had actually made a public proclamation when it was not popular to be a Christian. He went to the army, and he actually refused to shoot at anyone because of his belief, and they called him a coward. But he actually said, no, it's not because I'm afraid of being shot that I'm not going to the army. I just do not agree with the principle of killing someone else. For that matter, he volunteered to be put in the front line of that battle at that particular point in time. But by God's grace, the war didn't continue, and that guy was then renowned at that point in time. Now, that actually influenced, even though Martin Luther was an infant when he was given the name, his life also was a life of a sacrificial kind of living, which actually also stood for things. And just to close that, to actually show the power of all of these things, Martin Luther King Jr.'s father took Martin Luther's name and actually named himself after he knew the story of Martin Luther when he went to Germany. Then he named his son, who had a different name, Martin Luther King Jr. And that was the part. And if you look at all these people's lives, their lives were influenced one way or another by the people after whose names they were named. That tells me something. So that's why I say that I want my son's name to be Mandilakhe Jr. because that has a certain aspect of me that I know that he will forever be reminded of. And it's a parent's wish to actually see their child take a particular course in life. So naming your kid is not just for the sake of it's a cool thing to do, but it actually has something to do with the life that you wish for them to take.
Yeah, I just heard that engine there.
Yeah.
Worrying, I'm like, yeah, we're in color.
Yeah. Get that right. Yeah.
But just shortly, have you started with the process of renaming your child your name, or is his name already? Because I don't know.
No. That's in the process of actually being implemented.
Oh, okay, that's great. I hear that. Maybe also you were talking about Martin Luther King, and you were talking about the importance of naming and all of that. But what can you then say to someone who is in Joslovo today, who is in Njuli, where those are the places you've stayed, right? How can this young man, after being told by everyone at home, hi, Sebenzi, you are a waste of, resources and which are cool and everything. The experience that a young man in a household of a poor setup would normally experience. But I don't want you, I know the females also experience a particular experience, but I want you to speak to that young man that wants to be a man like you today, that comes exactly from the same environment. What do you tell him?
Okay. That's imperative. One of the things I've learned that I think are very significant in life is what you believe about yourself matters more than what anybody else believes about you. But it doesn't matter how much you can tell me you believe in yourself. What you do concerning what you believe tells me exactly how much you believe in what you really believe in. It took me going in the direction of what I believed about myself more than my situation told me. So any chap, any young girl, young guy who's finding themselves in a situation they don't like, one, you don't have to be defined by where you find yourself. Where you were born, it was not your choice, you found yourself there. The society, the community you grow up in as a child was never your choice. You found yourself there. But the decisions you make from that, because if someone said 10% in life is what happens to us, 90%, or it could be 20% for that matter, but 90% is actually what we do about what was done to us. So we can't live all our lives making an excuse about where we were born. We actually have to make decisions that take us out of the places we were born into. Because of that, we actually had no choice over. But where we end up in life is all dependent on us. So I want to say to that person, first of all, take the responsibility of changing the narrative. Change your course, not because someone is going to take pity on your situation. Don't even allow pity. Pity is the worst enemy of progress. So do not allow pity to sink in. So take a disposition in life that sets you up for success regardless. They normally have titles for motivational speakers that says against the odds. People have faced the worst of situations in life, but they've managed to get out of it. I think that would be the long and short of it.
Yeah, no. We're not excluding young girls. Maybe I should actually speak to young girls. Beautiful 4-year-old young girl, Umibala, and in no way am I trying to say that Umibala must not be this, must not be that. One thing that I'm trying to make sure that I'm instilling into her psyche is that there is nothing in life that she can be stopped from achieving, but there's more respect that we attribute to who we are and our attributes as a person, our traits, and when we work that inward person, wherever that inward person is presented, they are able to sort of push and build the same way that you can see through concrete. A plant will just grow, a seed will just germinate and break through. That her strength might not be forceful and physical, that her thinking, that her presence, her demeanor, how positive she is about her life and how confident she is about who she is, becomes a strength and this aroma that changes the environment to her advantage. So that is to that young girl. And then lastly, maybe as we conclude, because looking at the time, where to from now? What is changing from the past? What are you trying to zoom into?
So from here, really, we have experienced a certain amount of success as a family, and we have seen quite a number of things working together, and we are now in a place where we are doing the things that we want to do. There are things sometimes in life have to do the things. I think Denzel said this. We must do the things that we have to do so that we can get to do the things that we want to do, something to that effect. But we are at that stage where we are doing the things we want to do. One, I want to grow my portfolio. I've already started that journey. It's a journey you cannot come to a point of saying, okay,
property portfolio.
Property portfolio. That is going to grow for sure over the years in different angles and different ways. And I've had different people I've actually met along the ways. My mind at this point concerning that is broader and wider, but that is actually something that I'll probably report back on in 10 years, because the growth will actually be measured over time. That's one of the things. Then the other thing is I really want to grow our family, not just in terms of numbers, but I want to grow us in terms of capacity, in terms of the things that we do. My wife has passion for a whole lot more than just a career. And
I thought differently when you said grow a family.
don't try that growth as well. Yeah, it's in the pipeline. so
Okay.
so that is working. So right now, and also now in
so
making
much productivity and procreation up here.
I'm telling you. So yeah, just the last thing. Now we also want to impact other people's lives. Before I used to impact other people's lives by preaching mostly, but I want to impact other people's lives by what I put into their lives now, enabling them, empowering people, because of that's what we are about economically. We've been exposed to quite a lot that we feel we can actually use to change people's situations out there.
What do you do with your speaking notes? And because I'm seeing that probably that will also come out as you grow.
Yeah.
What do you do? When do you get your book out? I have mine out.
Yeah, oh
I
yeah.
have two.
Yeah, and I actually did the forward on this one. So yeah,
Yes,
please do
yes,
support
yes,
this man. He's got 2 books out.
Yes.
No, so that's an interesting one. So the thing is with every event, I try my utmost best to say something new and fresh. So sometimes it might be influenced by what I've said before, but it will never be the same. So in what you're saying, if I actually could put my notes together, I probably could come up with quite something. So yeah, I need to work on that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, thank you so much. I think for me, the direction.
Yeah.
I've cut out a lot of activities.
Yeah.
That I used to do in my company, transcriptions, translations, doing this.
Yeah.
I'm cutting out all of that, and I've even started paying people back for those that they've given me to do, because I realize that it takes so much time, and I no longer have that. I'm gonna focus on more on my writing.
Yeah.
I'm also gonna focus on distilling even further the kind of notes that I have. Even these books might be version 2 and 3, because now with the feedback, I'm starting to think, oh, okay, maybe I can place this quite boldly at the business community on issues of leadership and on issues of real skills development, which I've not really done. But one thing I am certain, I'll be writing a lot more. And yes, procreation is indeed a
Way to go.
and a certainty at this stage, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, man, for hosting me.
Welcome.
Yeah, man, I think we should do this even more, but we know that when we talk, we sort of remember so many things.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Let us know if we can touch on any programs. We can touch on any topics that might be of use to you. And invite us if you can. That would be great, but you must foot the bill. Thank you so much. This guy is expensive.
Yeah. No, yeah, but thanks so much to everyone, and I hope you will find this valuable and that it will actually make an impact in someone's lives, and that your lives could be different from what it was before you listened to it and after you've actually listened to this. So yeah, thank you so much, and thanks, man, for taking the time and being here and spending the weekend with us. Really have appreciated your presence.
And what's Mandilakhe?
All right. Thank you.
Cheers.
And we are done. Cheers. Yeah, I think.
First thing.